This is the call center web interface, where you can log in, and you have two kinds of profiles of users that can access the call center interface. You have regular agents and you have supervisors. Agents are only allowed to see their own data and the data of the queues, of the call queues that they are answering the calls. The supervisors can see the data from all the users that belong to the call queues that they are currently supervising. Additionally, supervisors have some configurations that they can do to configure the performance and the display of the call center. I will be using a user that is a supervisor. As a supervisor, here on the left menu, I can see here three distinct areas. I have an area here of real-time data. I have another area related to statistics data, and the last area is only for supervisors. That is some options of management of the call center. Here in the real-time data, we have here the control bar. That is a little screen that resumes, that is the summary of all the system. Here with only this screen, I can be working on another program, a data sheet, and I always have here information about how many calls are waiting, how many calls are currently being answered, the waiting time of the oldest call waiting, how many calls were answered, how many calls were lost, how many users are currently available to answer calls. I have here the name of the agents, how many agents are currently on call, how many agents are on pause, and the agents that are unavailable. This is being shown for the entire system. Here with the whole, it's the data of the agents of all the queues that I supervise, but I can specify here one particular call queue that I want to have detail about. Another feature that is available here on the control bar is actions that the user can do. For example, I can make the login in the phone, for example. Now I am logged in on this phone, and right now I can start interact with the phone. For example, I can start a call from here. If I press this, I will only have to insert the number I want to dial, and the call will be made. If I was on a call, another option would be shown here that would allow me, for example, to transfer the call. Another option is, for example, to create a call conference, and I can invite another person to the call conference, all being done here in the control bar. It's a very useful little app. Now, the user state gives me real-time data of all the agents that are currently available on the call queues that I supervise. I can select the agents that I want to check here, and if I press here on the dashboard, it will show me a window dynamically ordered If an agent is on call, it will be on top, and after that will be the users that are available, and on the bottom it will be the paused agents. Here I can see real-time data of the agents, where they are logged in, the time they answered the last call, the time they made the last call, how many calls they have already answered, how many calls were tried to be delivered to them and they didn't answer, the current state and the state that they are right now. I can also do some kind of actions on the agents. For example, I can call directly to the agent by pressing here the call user button. I can force the agent to log out. I can force the agent to be on pause. And if they were on a call, I, as a supervisor, I am able to listen to the call that the agent is on. And I can have two kinds of options. I can have an option to listen to the call and none of the other intervenients will know that I am listening to the call. And I have, this is the spy function, and the another function is the coach function, where I can talk and only the agent will hear what I am saying. The other person of the call will not be able to realize that I'm talking to the agent. I can create templates to be easy to select the agents that I want to see. For example, I have here, I have nothing selected here, but I have here my templates. For example, let me create one only for the users that are giving right now support to IPBRICK call queues. As you can see, only those users are selected, and I can create here the template called IPBRICK support. I can select what kind of columns I want to show. I don't want this one because it's all, and I don't want the last in call, and I want this. Okay. Right now I have that template. If I close the window and I open it again, I don't have to come here and select again all the users, the columns that I want to show. No, I have the template, I select the template, and automatically all the agents will be selected and the queues will be selected. This is for the agents. We have a similar approach to the queues. I have here the call queue state, where I can see all the queues that I'm currently supervising. I see the data in real time of how many calls are waiting, how many calls are happening right now, how many agents are available to answer. And again, if I select the queues and I press here the dashboard, it will show me on real time a dynamically listed ordered list of the queues. If some queue has a call waiting, it will be shown at the top. The queues that have calls going on will be shown after, and in last all the queues in alphabetical order. Same principle of the templates. I can select here the queues that I want to see, the columns I want to see. I will give it the name, save, and the next time I come here it will be only have to press the selected template and it will show me the selection that I want. For example, here beside the dashboard, the list of the queues as I showed, we also can have some graphics. For example, the agents will show me a circular pie graph with the state of the agents. I can see that most of the agents are currently not available to answer calls. Only 37% are available to answer calls. One of them is on call right now. This will be another graphic shows me how many calls are waiting and how many calls are active. For example, here I saw that one agent was on call, and the call is not shown here on the queues because the call must not be a queue. It will be the agent doing an outbound call. Let me just show here the dashboard of the agents, and you can see here that the agent Joel Nogueira is doing a call. Yes, it's not a queue call, it's a call directly to him. So you have an agent on call, but on the queues you do not have a call because it's not a queue call. Another pretty graphic here is the gauge that will show one gauge for the number of waiting calls, another one for the level of service of the queues that are selected, and the average waiting time of those queues. Having configured templates for these dashboards, the user state and the call queue state, we can do another thing more interesting. That is, for example, to configure a wall board. So we have Vera dashboard widgets. I can do the edit mode, and here I can display the templates that I have created. I have already configured one, but as you can see, here are the templates that I created in the user state and in the call queue state, and I can display the templates whatever I want on the screen. I can move it around, I can resize them, and after placing the dashboards where I want, I will save it, and from that moment on, if I want to see my wall board of the states of the agents and the states of the queues and all the graphics and the gauge, I will only have to come here and make this. It will all shown on the locations that I have configured on the screen. And this can also be done automatically. I can configure call center to automatically open this window when I logged in on the call center web interface. Okay, this is for real-time data. Now I can show you about the statistics. We have here some pre-configured reports. For example, the general report. I select the data that I want, and I want to show some graphics. It shows me here a section related to users. This first section is related to users, where I can see for each queue and user how many calls were answered, how many delivery attempts, average times, call times. And in the another section I will have the data for the queues. I can see here for each queue how many calls were answered, average times, unanswered calls, and here in the bottom the total calls that were answered and unanswered. All the reports that are available here on the call center are available to export to CSV format. For example, here the productivity of the agents, where I can select the agents that I want, I will place them all, the queues that I want. I can have the report detailed by agent. I can have the detail of agent and queue. I can have a summary of all the data and a minimalist report that will show me very minimalist data. For example, here I will do it here, a summary, and I will show the reports by blocks of 1 hour. I can see here in periods of 1 hour. how many calls were made, how many calls were answered by the users. And I can also have here a graphic that shows me on each hour of the day the number of calls, and you can have a visual idea which are the most the periods of the day with more and more calls, where you need to have more agents answering calls, because those are the periods where the number of calls will be greater. This is the productivity. You can have, for example, the general summary, where you can export the data by answering time. Here you can have the idea that of how many calls were answered below 15 or 30 or 60, or the time that you wish to know. For example, you can have put 20 seconds and 40 seconds. Select the queues. You can show also details about unanswered calls, show graphics. You can group the results here by hour, like the last report that I shown you, or by day, or even by month. I will put here by day for yesterday. Okay, and you can see how many calls were answered below 20 seconds. 10 calls. Between 20 and 40 seconds, 4 calls, and above 40 seconds, zero calls were answered above 40 seconds. And you will have here the report, graphic report with those numbers. This is for each queue. You can have the detailed or the summary version. For example, in the summary, it will condense all the information in one report. And you have in one report, again, exportable to CSV. Another very useful feature that we have here for the report is that all these reports and all these options that I have been showing are available to be automatically generated. As a supervisor, I have the option to create automatic reports, and it's as easy as I come to this screen. I want to create a report. For example, the productivity report that I showed you before. In the summary binder, I want to have my reports by hour, and I will say that is my auto productivity report. I select the queues that I want, select the agents that I want, and now I will have to choose the period that the report will be created. I want the report to be created every day, and I want to receive it at 9 o'clock of the morning. And I can select here also if I want the data to be only of that day. For example, if I created this today, I would receive the data of yesterday, unless I check here this option and the report would be of the same day. So if I configure the report to be sent at 20 hours of the current day, the report will be of the data of the current day until the 20 hours. But if I press here the cumulative option, the report will contain the data of the beginning of the month until today at 20 hours. So I can have here both options. I can have a report with only the data of one day, or the cumulative data from the beginning of the month to the present day. And now I will only have to insert here an email address or 2 email addresses, or the email address that you want, 1 per line, and it will be ready. When the time arrives, when it's 20 o'clock, call center will automatically create this report and will send it by mail to these destinations. Okay, so now about call lists, for example, the queue calls. The examples that I've been given of the statistics, they are statistics. They are a bunch of numbers of the sum of all the calls that are selected. Here on the queue calls, I'm able to see the detail of each of the calls if I want. So if I selected the queues, I will press, for example, yesterday. I select nothing else and I will do filter. It will show me the list of the calls of yesterday. It will show me the start date, the end date, the number that called us, to which queue the number has called us, and if the call was answered or not. If the call is answered, it shows me here the name of the agent that answered the call. Again, the results are available to be exported to CSV. This will give me the list, but it will also give me something else. I don't want the list, but I want to have an idea if some number called me more than one time yesterday. So I group the results here by day, and I want to know yesterday is how many times each number has called me. For example, I have here this one. Can you see? This number called us yesterday a total number of 7 times. One of the times it was not answered, but 6 other times the number was answered, and these were all the agents that called to that number, to talk with that number. Okay, now I will show you the authentication history. But before showing you the authentication history, another note. As I shown you here in the user state, I can put the agents on pause. For example, I am this one, and I will be on pause because I am on a meeting. So right now I can see me, if I have the dashboard opened, that this agent is right now on pause, and he is on pause because he is on a meeting. Imagine that the meeting was over, so I did the unpause. As a supervisor, I can come here to the authentication history report, and I can see the details from each user. For example, for me, I can see here that I was logged in to answer calls 21 minutes, but I have here 32 seconds where I was on pause to a meeting. And if I have more pause descriptions, they will be shown here. Let me see if I have any colleague that has done another pause descriptions. This one, let me check yesterday. For example, here this agent went out to lunch for 1 hour and 70 minutes. This enables the supervisor to know how much time each agent is really available to answer calls, and how many time he is wasting on lunch or breaks. and these post descriptions are configurable to the supervisors. Here on the configurations menu, as a supervisor, I can create the number of pauses that I want. After I created here a pause description, the agent will be automatically ready to select that pause description. Now I will show you here the management menu. Here on the management menu, the supervisor can dynamically associate agents to the queues. Imagine that this queue was having a peak of calls, and I had here an agent that I can place to answer calls and help to answer all the calls. So I only have to come here and press here on the arrows, and the agent would be answering calls from that queue. It's as simple as this. Another feature is, okay, I have here all my agents that are answering the queue, but I don't want them to answer calls with the same level of priority, because, for example, this is a queue of ePortalDoc support, and some of the agents here are more used to use the ePortalDoc, so they will be giving better support, and some agents are not very good with that, so I want them only to answer calls if none of the others is available. So I come here to the priority, and now I can say, okay, my first line, or my second, or my most top priority will be these three agents. If I press here modify, the call queue will try to deliver the calls first to these three agents, and only if none of them is available, it will try to deliver the call to the other four agents. This example has 2 priorities, but this can go up to 10 priorities. It's very dynamic. On the limit, if I can configure a level, in each level of priority only 1 agent, I can force the sequence of delivering the calls to the agent. Okay, I've shown you this queue, but sometimes it's more useful the other way around. I want to associate 1 agent to several queues, for example. So instead of coming here to each one of the queues, I can do here a mass operation. I select the agent that I want. Automatically it will show me all the queues that it can be answering calls, and with the clicks I can put them with all the queues, only on the queues that I want. And if I select here only agent, the next page will show me automatically the queues that they can be answering calls. On the other hand, if I select only queues, automatically it will show me only the agents that can be answering calls from the queues. If I select the queues on the agents, it will only select the selection that I have done. Okay. All of this that I've been showing is more related to incoming calls to the call queues. But call center also has the feature of doing outbound campaigns, automatically making calls to universe of customers. Here on the campaigns module, I have some test campaigns. I create a campaign, for example, test campaign. I select the call queue where I want the calls to be delivered after the customer answers the call. I want here the same customer, the minimal time between contacting the same will be, for example, 60 seconds. I don't want to call him more than 3 times. I want to select my contents randomly. Okay, insert. So I have now my test campaign. And I want to insert my customers. I can export a Csv file that will give me the structure of the CSV to be configured. I can see here all the fields that I have available to configure, but the mandatory fields are the name, and I can have up to 5 telephone numbers for each customer. This is an example, and the other mandatory field will be the strategy, for example this one. Then I will create my CSV files with thousands of customers that I want to contact. I will save the file, and then I will insert the file here. I have the campaign created, I have my customers uploaded to the campaign. After that I will only have to configure the call window. I can configure all the campaign right now, but I can configure here the time periods where I want the campaign to really make the calls. I can configure that the campaign will only run, for example, on the month of December, or I can say that it will only run on the day 25 from 9 AM to 17 PM. This is very flexible and enables you to program the campaign as you wish it to run. After the campaign is running or finished, you have some reports that will tell you how many customers were answered, how many were not, if the customer answered on the first try, only on the second time, some statistics related to the campaign. Okay, now for the last part I will show you here some configurations. For example, here on the call queue state, when in dashboard mode, right now I don't have any call waiting, but when I have a call waiting, it will be shown here on this column, and the queue name will be shown on yellow. But I can configure here that if the call is waiting for more than the amount of time that I configure here, for example here it's 1 minute. If a call is waiting for more than 1 minute, the call queue, instead of being with yellow background, it will be with the color red, because it's passing the time that I have configured here. I can also show a different color if some queue has waiting calls bigger than a number that I configure here. Here is the option to automatically open the dashboard on login. As I told you before, I will try to do this, for example. Now, if I select here the option to automatically open dashboard widgets on login for supervisors, I will be doing logout, and when I do login, it will automatically open the dashboard. Okay, automatically here I have the dashboard widgets with all the dashboards in the place that I have configured on the dashboard widgets menu. I can see here I have a call. I have the agent Moronuns is on an outbound call, and is on this call for 6 minutes now. Okay, some other configurations. About the layout, I can configure the size of the graphics, I can configure the size of the font. I can another feature here that is pretty. I can show, like on the dashboard, on the control bar, I can show on the left menu a little phone, and I can show the little resume of the system on the bottom of the page. If I select this, okay. The next time I will refresh the page. For example, now I can take this out. So I now will refresh the page. So now you can see that on the left menu I have an additional interface that is equivalent to this section of the control bar. It is shown here, and in the bottom, it's the bottom of the control bar. It is showing here on the bottom of the call center interface. It is configurable if you want to have this or not, so the customer decides what he wants. Refresh, and these frames will be gone. Okay. Some configurations about display, about general options. Now for queue management. Here on the queue management I can configure individually the service levels that I want for each queue. The service level, it's the amount of time that I think that it's okay to answer calls to that queue, and I can have different times for different queues. For example, I have a queue of support that is more priority than a queue for commercial business, for example. So for support I can configure service level of 15. I want all the calls that come to support to be answered in 15 seconds. And for example, for the commercial, 25 seconds is okay. What this will show me is on the call queue state. I will see here in real time the service level of each queue. And I can also configure the colors that are being used to display here on the dashboard. For example, I have here that this queue is having 72-73% of level of service and it's on green color, okay? But I can say that 72% it's not very good, so I don't want it to be green. So I come here to this queue. It's not this that I want, it's this. And I say that no, this is not good. Below 80, I don't want it green, I want it yellow. So as you can see here, okay, now the queue will have a service level of yellow color. It's not very great. I will have to talk to the agents to answer the calls more rapidly because the level of service for this queue is not being achieved. This is for the service level. Let me see here my configurations. I've shown you the path descriptions, the reports. Okay, I have here the configurations for session timeout. By default, all users have a session timeout of 1 hour, but you can configure it individually for each agent. And you can also inactivate this feature. You can have the option to, okay, after login you will only be logged out when you press the logout button. For last, the alerts configuration option. This allows me to send an alert email when something is not going as well as I would expect. Nowadays everybody has a cell phone with internet on, so you can receive the notification of your call center wherever you are. You can configure here to receive an alarm, an alert. For example, when you have calls waiting for more than 60 seconds or the time that you think that is really critical. Or you can receive the alert not for the time but for the number of waiting calls. If I have a queue, and I can select here the queues that I want, if I have more than a number of calls waiting, I want to be alerted by email that this is happening.